Grande Alive. This is Coffee with Will, brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Ronde Hospital, Anything to Digital, EONI, Country Financial, Valley Realty, and SeaBrite Dentistry. And I am here today with Alice Trindle, my guest for the week, who is a local, I'm going to call her a horse trainer, but she's going to explain why that's not an accurate title, but she also is involved with the Eastern Oregon Visitors Association, and she plays the violin in the Grand Ronde Symphony. She's an eclectic individual that wears many hats, and she has graced us today with coming in and talking with us about all of the things that she does. So thank you, Alice, for coming in and chatting with me today. So
You bet, Will.
let's talk, first of all, a little bit about horses. I've recently gotten to do a feature on Cloverhaven, and I got introduced to just how special horses are. What is it about horses for you that makes you want to spend a lot of your life helping people to get into relationships with them?
Well, that's certainly a wonderful question, and the folks out at Cloverhaven are doing a great job of connecting people with what horses have to give us. Mm-hmm. And I guess that would be a good starting spot. Is in my background, I born and raised here in Eastern Oregon and had the good fortune to be very wise in who I chose for my parents, being ranchers. And the 5 brothers that I also chose. So
yeah, those brothers, they're weird. You gotta, they're hard. They're a handful.
They are, yep. But I'm pretty lucky. I think that I did a good job.
Oh, good.
And with that, being able to grow up here in our beautiful environment, but always having horses as part of my life. And in the last 20 to 25 years, I've really realized what the horses have to give me. I think that I always loved them. I know I did. Could climb on their backs and go absolutely anywhere. But it's a different perspective to begin to say, this is what I need to learn, what they're trying to teach me to become a better human. And that listening, often people will say, well, you're a horse whisperer. And I say, well, I try to listen to the whispers of a horse. And it doesn't really matter what costume that I end up wearing or putting on my horse, the various different disciplines or jobs that I might be able to perform with my horse. The bottom line is developing that relationship. And then turning it back over and listening to what they're trying to tell me that I can apply to my life. And maybe in the end, look back and say, she was a horseman. And that would be a wonderful epitaph to put on my tombstone, I guess, written by the horses, to be able to feel like they recognized in me that I had listened and was an aspiring horseman.
So it's a reciprocal relationship. It's definitely something that affects you as much as you affect the horse.
It does. You know, in our clinics, we do a number of clinics that we offer throughout the year at our ranch in Haines, and some of those also take place at in Idaho or Washington State, throughout Oregon as well. And we often say, you know, it's all about horses, but it's not about horses at all. And the kind of people that we tend to attract are those that really want to develop a deeper connection and will give themselves the time to create a relationship with their horse. And that relationships, as far as I know, are usually reciprocal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah, they work out better that way.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It sounds almost kind of like it sounds kind of beyond the level of just a pet. It's almost to the level of like sort of a spiritual connection between a man and a creature.
It certainly is. Most of us would not really consider our horses pets. perhaps even those that just see them as forelegs to get around on and accomplish a job. Those are not the kind of people that are attracted to what I might have to offer.
Sure.
But for those that are looking for really something that's deeper, that goes into the kind of the four realms. It's mental, because it's not just about hopping on and kicking them to go and pulling on them to stop. So there is a fair amount of thinking that should go along with developing a relationship. It's certainly a physical activity to be mentally fit, but also physically fit. Not just for getting our horses that way, but ourselves as well. And we talk an awful lot about posture and physical fitness. It certainly is an emotional connection, and almost any of us, even folks like yourself, that I had to laugh at you a little earlier where you said that you tried to put the horse in the kennel.
Yes, my only horse experience is trying to trap a horse to try and ride it in a kennel, which didn't work out very well for me. That's the story she's referring to.
Probably not what most of us would refer to as the pen or the corral or the stall. But I loved it. I thought that was, I may have to keep that one. Put your horses away in the kennel. But there is an emotional attachment. And I think that even someone like yourself can easily see that there's a gathering that comes together with being in the presence of such a large animal that then if you find that little bit of connection, a lot of times it's not about me going out and trying to give something to my horse. It's about the emotions that they're giving back to me and spending some time just hanging out. And oh boy, when you're in a down situation, those horses can really be there to help with that emotion too. So the last part, of course, is the spiritual part. And you know, out west, out here, a lot of times we don't talk about spirituality. And that's such a important part of actually who we are as East Oregonians. And
big part of our identity.
It is, and it's so connected to the environment. I mean, goodness, and part of that, it's not just the physical flora, but it's also the fauna that's there too. The animals and what they have to give us. We ought to talk about it a little bit more, just identify it. Spirituality is a pretty important aspect of horsemanship.
Interesting. So let's theoretical situation. So someone like me who doesn't really have much of a connection with horses comes to you and says, I'd like to be a better horseman. What would be the sort of basic, shortened first step that you would put someone like me in to begin a relationship with my horse?
Well, this might surprise you. I probably would begin to have you feel what that connection is like, no strings attached. So the horse at liberty, no halter, no saddle, in a confined area. But beyond that string around the outside, being able to find a way that you could communicate with that horse by your presence, by your positioning, by your body language, and having clear intentions, and the kinds of gifts that are given back to you when that happens at liberty, when you find that horse will square up and look at you, that you could adjust them to send them off in another way, that you could adjust the speed, that you could work with them as you went a little bit deeper into all their positionings, how they carried themselves, all of that achievable with only air between you. That has to be a connection that would be pretty special for someone like yourself that doesn't have that kind of background.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we don't take the time, even as aspiring horsemen, to actually make that connection.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
it sounds like there has to be more of a connection than just the reins between you and horse to be a true horseman.
there ought to be.
Yeah.
And those that are not realizing that are missing out on that very deep and wonderful connection that the horses have to give back to us.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, cool. So let's talk a little bit about some of your other hats as well. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, Alice is not only a horse, I still want to say horse trainer, but a master people trainer and a horse relationship encourager, but she is also a member of the Ronde Symphony and leader of the Eastern Oregon Visitors Association, an organization that is primarily purposed to get people to come to Eastern Oregon to experience what we have here to offer. So I guess my question is how do all these things fit together to you? The symphony, the Visitors Association, and your horsemanship, how do they all fit together?
Well, you mentioned up front that there was the word eclectic, and I think that that's kind of the way that it goes.
Many hats,
yes.
many hats.
and that's not so rare here in
No,
Eastern
it's
Oregon.
definitely not.
What may be a little bit more unusual is just how all of those combine together.
Sure.
And again, I feel very blessed and fortunate that I grew up here in Eastern Oregon and have the opportunity to blend my passion, which I would say is certainly involved with horsemanship, but probably the deeper passion is to see the ongoing preservation and acknowledgement of this amazing heritage that we have in this place. We are so fortunate, as one of my good friends says all the time, looking around saying, and we live here. How incredible that is. And I think that a lot of my journey, my life's journey, has been influenced by that greater environment. And the musical elements that are involved in that greater environment led me to the little more structure of playing some instruments.
Yeah.
And, you know, just as I am an aspiring horseman, I'm also an aspiring violinist. I'm not there yet. I've got a long, long ways to go. I'm aspiring to leave a legacy for our visitor industry in Eastern Oregon. Sure. That I'll be able to look back upon and be very proud of. And I think that's probably how this eclectic mix came together for me. Really, if you looked at it, it would go back to this environment influenced me, yeah, rather than me trying to influence the environment. How can I look at that and leave a legacy that's, sure, that's going to be wonderful for the next generation?
So here's a question for you. So many people probably from your direct, Facebook and internet will probably see as your friends, your family, maybe some of which who may not live here. Mm-hmm. What would you say is like one of, if not the coolest thing or things that somebody should come to Eastern Oregon to experience?
Wow, that's
in your time.
That's really hard, and also that your broadcast goes to a number of the counties that I represent. Sure. So maybe whatever I say out of those 11 counties that I represent.
Okay, so maybe what is the
why
most?
Didn't you pick me?
Yeah. Okay, so maybe like what is something that has really profoundly affected you? Maybe not the best or the worst, but something that's very profoundly affected you about, yes, Eastern Oregon.
This may surprise you. The biggest effect is the culture of our people. And we are a unique and wonderful breed out here in Eastern Oregon. Our ability to have big hearts and our love of the land, our, the importance of our heritage to most of us, and the desire to continue to share that, but somewhat keep it to those folks that are going to truly get who we are and love this land as much as we do, or at least respect it. That probably would be my overriding brand statement for Eastern Oregon.
Sure.
We are different. We are very unique, and we are proud of that. Certainly, part of that diversity that we offer is in some of the iconic places to visit and things to do while you're out in Eastern Oregon.
Sure.
But really, as a group, that is what makes us so unique, from the amazing John Day Fossil Beds National Monument in the Painted Hills and the Clarno Unit and Blue Basin to the incredible high desert area of the Steens Mountains and the wild horses that are there, to this beautiful valley that we're sitting in right now, the Ronde Valley, and the incredible history then that goes along with that, and those early French explorers being able to exclaim that it was, what a wonderful, round, grand valley it was.
The Grand Ronde, La Grande, the Grand.
Exactly. And certainly then to our indigenous peoples in this Eastern Oregon, that their culture really, long before we ever showed up on the scene, was so entwined into their environment. And from the graciousness of the Nez Perce in the very early goings of the Lewis and Clark, that kind of a attitude continues to be pervasive today, and I hope that we can continue that well into the future.
Wow. Well, a Grand alive, you heard it right here. I couldn't have said it better than that. So last thing, that was wonderful. Great answer to the question. So last thing, let's talk a little bit about the symphony. Now, Alice, as I mentioned earlier, plays violin with the Grand Ronde Symphony, and they have an upcoming event that is a fundraiser for what they're trying to do. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, what a great lead-in from talking about history and heritage to the Grand Ronde Symphony.
Sure.
This will be our 70th season, Will.
Wow.
We are in a bit of a...
I didn't realize it was that longevitous.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're in a bit of a quandary with the Oregon Symphony, actually. We claim that we are the oldest continuously running symphony in the state of Oregon. They want to dispute that just a little bit, but we're going to go ahead. We're in Eastern Oregon. We'll claim it. We do know it is our 70th year.
Wow.
That's a long time to be in a place where we were showing the value of creating beautiful music. Yeah. And what a wonderful legacy to leave. What are we going to do for the next 70 years? Let's make sure that the Grand Ronde Symphony Association continues on. You know, my history with the symphony began back a few years ago when I was in high school in Baker High School.
Wow.
And at that time, all of our regional public schools had large string programs, had orchestras and bands, and now, unfortunately, we look at that and there are very few string programs at all in Eastern Oregon. And I was so fortunate to be given a scholarship. Really, the Grande Ronde Symphony paid for a nice portion of my college at then Eastern Oregon College.
Many names back.
There you go. Yes, now I'm beginning to date myself even a little bit more. But being able to continue that kind of opportunity on and instill in not only young people but all of our citizens the value of classical music presented beautifully in an orchestral ensemble is pretty wonderful thing to continue to aspire to do, and pretty amazing that way out here in Eastern Oregon we've been doing it for 70 years.
Yeah, seriously.
So it's important to look at how we're going to keep that going. And one, really, our primary fundraiser is about to come up. On September 16th, we'll have our annual auction and fundraiser. And this year it's called Under the Stars, an evening of fine dine and dancing. And it truly will be. And once again, it'll be catered by Merlin Baker, and as you said earlier, goodness, your mouth is probably watering already.
Anything he touches turns into tasty wonderment.
Isn't that the case? And it truly is a full course meal with both wonderful herb chicken as the main course, and then another pork dish that's an Italian feel to it. You know, roasted summer vegetables right here, grown right here in the Grande Ronde Valley, and then a lemon tart dessert that I can't. I may just have to jump right there.
So I might have to go get lunch after this.
There you go.
Unfortunately, Merlin doesn't do lunch around here, but you know, you're making me hungry.
It truly is a regional event. However, the auction part of it has wonderful offerings that come from throughout Northeast Oregon and even farther reaches. Everything from, I know there's at least one fabulous weekend at the Columbia Gorge Hotel, and some of the other sort of lodging things that I'm aware of, the Bronze Antler Bed and Breakfast up in Wallowa, and Arrowhead Chocolates, and what a variety of opportunities to be able to raise your paddle and support such a worthy cause. Along with it, of course, we'll have some music that's happening, and opportunity not only to dance, but maybe even take a little dance lesson or two.
Oh, wow.
If you're anything like I am.
I'm a lot like you are. If you don't know how to dance, I know nothing how to dance.
I like to dance, but as far as
technicality goes,
not so much. So that'll be fun. And then on the spirit side of things, I'm so happy to be able to again announce that Echo Ridge Cellars over in Echo will be pouring their wines. Absolutely fabulous wines from there. If you have not tasted what they're producing just over the hill, I really suggest that. And right here, our own local barley brown beer will also be poured. So a lot of good ideas and reasons to come out and join us on Saturday, the 16th of September, over at the Friendship Center, basically almost across the street, down the street from here, just a little ways. And
now, people, if they want to sign up, they can go online, correct?
Yeah, I will caution though, because it is such a food-intensive event, we have to get that order over to Merlin about a week ahead of time. So I would really suggest, Will, for people to go online to GrandeRondeSymphony.org and sign up. And we have some great bundle opportunities there too, where instead of just helping us out by signing up for the dinner, you can bundle that together with season pass or our chamber series season pass. Ways to be able to help out. And of course, we're always so happy when people come on as a patron and look at helping us just keep the notes coming.
Just keep the notes coming. That would be the title of this episode of Coffee with Will. Keep the notes coming. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alice, for coming in. If we had an hour, I would talk to you about the similarities between playing a musical instrument and riding a horse. I would talk to you about what is so special about music that we need to keep it around for so long. But unfortunately, because this is a Facebook video, try to keep it shorter. So thank you so much for coming in and joining me, Alice. You have been extremely profound and very, very informative. And thank you, Grande Live, for tuning in to Coffee with Will. I'm going to see if I can get this brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Ronde Hospital, Anything to Digital, EONI, Valley Realty, and Country Financial. If I forgot anybody, I apologize. I'll get them next time. Please make sure to frequent these businesses. They give a lot of money to be able to bring you informative interviews like this. So if you see them, thank them. Make sure to go in, spend a little bit of money in their business, and tune in to thegrandelive.tv for more local content. I'm Will Bowman.